You ever look at a word in another language and your brain just kind of shuts down? Well, today we're going to dive into Finnish. And I know it looks incredibly complex on the surface, but what's so cool is that it has this surprisingly simple and logical system at its core. We're about to see how what looks like a tangled mess is actually more like a set of building blocks. Okay, so take a look at this word, monumitkainen. It's a bit of a mouthful, right? This word means complicated. And yeah, it absolutely looks complicated. If your first thought is, there's no way I could ever remember that, you are definitely not alone. But what if I told you this isn't a word you memorize, it's a word you build? And that's the whole secret. So many of these long Finnish words aren't these single giant things you have to memorize. Nope, they're actually built from simple, reusable blocks. It really is just like Lego. So let's start building, shall we? We're going to take that big, intimidating word and break it down into its individual bricks. And I think you'll see just how logical it really is.
All right, the first brick is mani. This is a simple piece. It just means many. Easy enough, right?
Next up, we've got mutka. This means a bend or a turn, like a winding country road. So the blocks we have so far are many and bend.
And the final piece of the puzzle is this little connector on the end, iden. This is a super common ending that basically turns a noun concept into an adjective. It's kind of like adding y in English. So when you snap all those Lego bricks together, you get the whole picture. Monimutkainen doesn't just mean complicated in some abstract way. It literally means many bendy. I mean, isn't that a fantastic and intuitive way to describe something that's complicated? It's a path with many bends and turns. Now here's where it gets really cool. This logic extends perfectly to opposites. So if complicated is many bendy, then its opposite, simple, is yksinkertainen. And if you break that down, you get yksi, which is one, and kertainen, which means fold. So simple is literally one foldee. The logic is just perfectly consistent. Let's try building another one. What if we want to say old-fashioned? Well, we just grab our Lego bricks again. We're going to start with vanha, which means old. Then we'll add aika, which means time. And we finish it off with our familiar connector, inen. And boom, there you have it. Vanhanekainen literally translates to old-timey. It's another one of these perfect, logical constructions that's actually really easy to figure out once you see the pieces. Okay, so we've seen how to build words. But what about a shortcut for making opposites? Let's add a new tool to our Finnish Lego kit. So this new tool is the prefix ipä. And it works just like un, or im, or in English. You just stick it on the front of a word to flip its meaning. For example, the word for polite is kohtelias. So using that rule we just learned, what do you think the word for impolite would be? Just take a second and try to build it in your head. Exactly. You just add ipä right to the front, and you get epäkohtelias. It's a really simple but powerful rule that you can use on a ton of different words. Now, here's the thing. While the system is super logical, it also has room for a little bit of creativity and elegance. Sometimes there's more than one way to build an opposite. Okay, so let's check out the word for possible, which is mahdollinen. Now, based on that epä rule we just learned, you can probably already guess one way to say impossible. And this is where the language really shows its flexibility. You can use the standard rule and say epämahdollinen, which is totally correct and literally means impossible. But you'll more commonly hear Finns use a shorter, more elegant word, mahdoton. Two different solutions, same exact meaning. So what does all of this really mean? I mean, we've taken apart these long words, we've seen the rules for making opposites. The key takeaway here is really a fundamental shift in how you can approach learning a language. It all comes down to this one core idea. You're not just memorizing some endless dictionary. You're learning a system. You're learning how to think and build with the language itself. And why does this matter? Well, it completely transforms the learning process. It stops being a chore of just memorizing stuff and becomes more like a fun puzzle you get to solve. Understanding the why behind the words is so much more powerful than just knowing the what. It shows you that even the most complex ideas are often just simple pieces logically snapped together. So that kind of leaves us with this final thought. Once you stop seeing language as a fixed list and start seeing it as a building set full of possibilities, what kind of ideas will you choose to build?